Got it.
Welcome, everybody, to Game 4 of the regular season for League of Legends. This is Coach Corrigan, and with me I have Martin today. Hey, Martin.
Hello.
How are you today?
I'm doing pretty good and feeling good about this game too.
Yeah, so we are just now in the middle of our picks and bans. Today we are playing against Apollo High School. So some bans have come out. Looks like Apollo has banned Vigar, Udyr, and Gangplank. So kind of spreading it out for lots of different levels. So not really targeting anybody in particular yet.
And for our team, they banned Kane, Vigo, and Echo, so looking pretty good. And for their first pick, they picked Ezekiel, or not Ezekiel,
Israel.
Israel, and we picked Ash.
So it's interesting that both teams decided to pick ADC first, and then of course right away pick our support, which is going to be Rel. Um, Johnny has done a really good job with Rel. He hasn't been able to play it Rel yet because it keeps getting banned. His history is pretty good, so hopefully, knock on wood, he'll have a good game with Rel.
And for the other team, they did pick Warwick. If I'm right, the Warwick should go jungle, and
Yeah.
the Yasuo would be their mid laner.
Usually, yes. So Warwick is traditionally played as a jungler, which is interesting. They picked him right away. Our two of our bands I know for sure are jungle bands. Echo and Kane are often played in the jungle. Viego, I honestly can't remember. I think he's a mid laner. So it's interesting that Apollo went ahead and picked those two right away rather than get extra bands on it. And it looks like we have picked Annie for mid lane. So that'll be a good matchup between Annie and Yasu, definitely.
I don't think I've ever really seen those two, but it looks like that we banned All Stars, so I think he's either the top lane or support character. And they just go ahead and ban Darius. I mean, he's a
Definitely
simple character,
targeting
but
the top lane. I think they're definitely going to start focus on our top lane. Alistar is a support. Um, and he can be a little frustrating to play against. I've only played against him a couple times. But yeah, that's definitely a support ban. And then Lulu is also a ban on their support. Um, so we'll see what Apollo chooses to do here. Bans are done. And they ban a top laner again.
well, there we go. They banned Garen. Garen is also a worthy competitor in top laner. So is Darius. Those are like the two beginner type. Especially if you're beginning for a league, those would be the two to go for. But they are pretty tanky characters.
Yeah. Um, so that's interesting. They're definitely going after our top laner, banning three of his champions. And it looks like we're going to have Gragas in the jungle. And they have picked Nasus. And I'm going to assume that Nasus is going to be a top lane? I'm not sure.
Nasus will be the top lane. I've actually played against Nasus before. He is a top laner, and they do go ahead and pick Blitzcrank for their support. And
That's going to be a good matchup. I think it makes it a lot easier as well that our bot lane already knows what Blitzcrank does, so hopefully they'll be able to avoid. So here's this interesting. We have Hecarim. So Gragas is actually going to be in the top lane. So last week Isaac played Gragas. It was definitely a little bit of a rough game. But now it looks like our top laner Chris is going to be playing Gragas, and Isaac will be on Hecarim.
this will be a pretty interesting match to see who goes up against what. And I think whoever is playing Rail has been playing Blitzcrank a lot, so this should be a really easy, not really easy, but it should be. They should have the upper hand.
Yeah, definitely the fact that Johnny is very familiar with Blitzcrank, so that's Pugman. Um, that it should give him a little bit of an insight to, maybe avoid some of those hooks. And he knows what the ultimate looks like and what it can do in those engages. So I think that should put Pugman in a really good place. Sam I Am was on his Ashe, so he is definitely very comfortable with Ashe. So that's really good that he's able to focus on that. He has played a little bit of Ezreal, so he does know what he does. Ezreal has some really good like cross map engages, like just like Ashe does. So I think it'll be interesting to see both of those. Um, so yeah, I think that's going to be a really good matchup. Isaac has played Warwick very, very, very often. So he's also very aware of what that Warwick does. So I think this is going to be a very good matchup, and I think um, Camelback, they know what they've got to do. They've definitely been working on some of the things that we fell short on last week. Really working on their team communication and making sure that that early laning stage that they are effective and that they monopolize on all their abilities. When they have a good team fight, making sure that they get an objective out of that, get the most out of what they do on the map.
Yeah, and the lane I would like to see the most of today in this game would definitely be the top lanes because I played against Nasus and Nasus ultimate is very strong because he gets bigger and stronger in anything and everything, and it is just really hard to play against.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever played against the Nasus, but I know. So some things that they'll have to really watch out for. Warwick has the ability to like fear you, which almost like freezes you and definitely disrupts your combos. Yasu has I want to say that it's a tornado that can definitely like throw you up in the air if it's thrown correctly. And then of course Blitzcrank has his hook, so they have a lot of different ways to freeze Camelback where they're at. And could create some challenges, especially in those team fights. But Camelback has those same things. Gragas has the barrels that he throws out. Annie, every 3 or 4 attacks, she gets a stun. That's really effective. And Tot
I know
Raccoon has gotten
Ash.
really good with it.
Yeah, I think Ash has a good stun too, but I think it is her ultimate or the bird or scout that she uses.
Yeah.
I know it's one of those that has a stun, so
I'm pretty
it'd be pretty
sure
interesting.
Rel has something. I just played Rel in an ARAM and it was very interesting. Like, it was definitely fun, but I was nowhere near good. I've only played her that one time. So I want to say that she has some sort of like stun disengage. But I think like she's able to like jump on you and causes all kinds of havoc. So both teams have those abilities. Um, both teams have some large, like big ultimates that will be make these team fights very, very interesting today. So it looks
It,
like our spectator delay has come to an end. We are loading in, so just bear with us as we get the game going.
Legends never die when the world is calling you. Can you hear them screaming out your name? Legends never die, they become a part of you. Every time you bleed far reaching greatness, relentless, you survive. They never lose hope when everything's cold and the fighting's near. It's deep in their bones, they'll rot into smoke when the fire is fierce.
Well, here we go. We are starting off the game. As you can see, the champions are spawning. And looks like Camelback. In case for those who don't know, that Camelback is the red team, then the other school is the blue team. So people just do not get confused about it. As you can see, they're all together in mid lane. They're all going down. Looks like Warwick is right next to them.
Yeah,
Those
looks like they're
cranks
maybe
started a little
trying
bit.
to get a little bit of a gank here. Let's see if they're able to engage. I think they're paying because they know that there's vision. Yeah, there's a ward here in the jungle, and Camelback is fully aware that it's there. So for anybody that is used to watching our games, we normally start blue side because normally we're the home team, but today we are the away team, so that's why we have we're on the opposite side of the map. And looks like Apollo has had to use 2 of their flashes to get out of that, and it looks like Blitz and Warwick walked away barely alive.
And there we go. As you can see, only one of them left for Camelback, and then the rest of them, 4 of them, are just still at red buff, just helping out their jungler.
Right. Getting that red buff, not only is that giving Camelback a really good way to start, but it is also taking it away from Apollo. So that is a great way to start for Camelback, putting down some vision on their way back to lane. And now we're back to the original start time of focusing on their CS before their first back.
As you can see, there's not that much vision, and it's not really too much because people are just CSing in their own lanes. And it's just pretty quiet on and on in first game, as you said so many times before. So, like we said, there's not really that much action, but when stuff does happen, you will definitely see it.
Yeah. The start game is definitely a slower time. Anytime a team tries to get a gank, that's probably the most excitement you'll see at the start of a game. So here it looks like their jungle is getting caught a little bit. Gragas might be in a little bit of trouble, but looks like Annie shows up to help. And we have a little mini engage here.
And Yasuo did use his flash to get Hecarim, but was not able to get anyone else. And Blitzcrank did use his pull to get someone and use his fist, but it did not work out so well.
Yeah, he was able to get a hook on Ashe, but Rel was really able to jump on there and help the hook disengage to really help out the Ashe.
And there we go. Annie gets the 2nd kill on Yasuo. And our top laner gets 3rd kill on Warwick. Is now 2-1 in kills. Strong for Camelback. And Blitzcrank does get that pull on Ashe, but she does use her heal. But Blitzcrank does eventually go down.
Yeah, so that was definitely really dangerous. Like, he hooked Ashe, which is good, but he was within tower range, which means he got tower aggro, which was just didn't work out for them. Apollo's definitely playing really aggressive, so I think at this point it's really important for Camelback to not get baited into playing aggressive as well. They need to focus on their CS. When we look at the CS across the board, Camelback is a little behind in some lanes and about dead even in others. So I think Camelback really needs to be careful to not allow themselves to get baited into playing in a way that's not their style.
Yeah, but I mean, sometimes being aggressive can be good too. As you can see here in top lane, Nasus is about to die. And he did go for it. He did use his flash.
So you can see Gragas got a lot of damage from that tower, but he is so tanky that it actually really did work out, because now he's by himself in lane, can restore his health, and continue to get more of that CS.
As you can see, Ashe is a little miss out of place here, and there goes Ashe going down.
Ashe definitely overextended there. It looks like we almost had another engage in River. Really, it looks like Apollo's really trying to get those early kills. So yeah, I think Camelback just needs to play safe and find those opportunities where they can get those kills. But not forget that it's all about the CS in the early game.
Of course it is. And here we see Blitz, Israel, and Warwick are taking Dragon right now. And Rel and Ash, Hecarim, and Aner are all coming down, but they might not be able to get here in time to take Drag. And there goes Drag, taking down my Warwick.
Right. And you know, early dragon, as great as it is to get that first dragon, it's not crucial. If you don't get that first dragon, it's not the end of the game. There will be lots of others. So what's more important is that Camelback doesn't engage in fights that they're not ready for. And they continue to find the right engages.
Yes, especially for jungles for ganks, those are very important.
Yeah, I think mid lane's gonna have to play super safe. He is very behind in CS. He is down by 21 CS. Down in the bot lane, that Ezreal is starting to get further ahead from Ashe. And it looks like Apollo, yeah, Ezreal has reached level 5. And Ashe is still level 4. So that means that Ezreal's going to get his ultimate first. And he's going to hit level 6. So Camelback definitely needs to be careful. As aggressive as Apollo is playing right now, Camelback needs to make sure that they are being aggressive but being safe at the same time, which is such a contradictory statement. It is so hard to play that way when you're constantly, when the other team's trying to bait you into engages that you shouldn't be going into.
And here we see in top lane Warwick trying to get that kill, but goes for the minions instead. And not much vision for either team. Camelback only has one in river, and the other team doesn't really have that much vision along the jungle.
Yeah, so Camelback could definitely use that to their advantage. The fact that Apollo is not paying attention a lot to their vision. It could create some extra opportunities to get some really good ganks.
It does, but then again, too, Camelback also only has one vision, and that is bottom river, and another one near bot tower. So that does look like the only vision they have. And Warwick is just coming up trying to steal blue buff, and he does. He does use his smite, the flash to get out of there. But it does look like he is gonna get caught up in the mix. Warwick does
Looks
get
like
out of
they
there.
chunked him down, but Nasus is quickly coming down river. And Yasuo is there as well, trying to help out. And they do manage to get Hecarim, which is challenging because now Apollo has the ability to get Rift Herald. And for those that don't know, Rift Herald is one of the monsters in the river, in the top side of river. When you get him, you can place him anywhere on the map, and he will attack towers. So it can be really helpful. Looks like Gragas is coming down to put some pressure on that Warwick to either get him to back off or to try to steal Rift Herald.
Yep. And Warwick does go down.
And
there goes down Yasuo.
That was really good. So even though they got Hecarim early on, Hecarim was able to buy items and come back and really and get something back for it. Bot lane just had a really good engage. Rel really causing some challenges for that bot lane. And top. Looks like they took out top lane as well.
Nasus did go down in top lane, so that does leave our top laners more room to work with, and also Warwick is barely coming back, so Hecarim does still have a little bit of time on his side.
Yeah, it's interesting that he decided not to go for Herald just yet. Granted, Warwick is on the other side. He might just be wanting to get a little bit more CS, get a little further in his levels to get. Ashe has to flash out of that and is not able to get away. That was a really good hook by Blitz. Ashe is definitely struggling right now. So it's important that they start to play a little safer now.
Yeah, especially for Ashe because she is such a squishy character, so it is easier for enemies to kill her.
And I know we know this for Camelback. As long as our top lane and our jungle are able to get fed, that's definitely the advantage that we want. You know, they are our most experienced players. And as long as mid lane and bot lane don't feed too much, it can definitely create some really good opportunities for Camelback, which is exactly what's happening right now. Everyone's still doing okay, even though Ashe has 2 kills. It's not anything that is completely out of hand. Camelback is a tiny little bit ahead in gold. But, you know, that just goes to show the CS a lot of times can make a big difference when it comes to the gold. Because even though Camelback is up 3 kills, the gold is not reflecting that big of a difference.
Yes, and in jungle, Hecarim and our top laner did get Nasus caught in the jungle, so that was really good play by them.
Absolutely. Really some good engages happening in top lane by our jungle. And it looks like... oh yeah, we saw the map change a little bit just because Apollo did get that second dragon. We kind of missed that with all the action going up in top lane. So this is where Camelback again needs to start being a little bit more careful, paying attention to those objectives because they can easily start getting out of hand. They got some good hits on that tower. It looks like they got a plate for that, which looks really good. In bot lane, they got some hits, and I think the minions were able to finish it off to get a plate.
Yes, they did. And for CS, it does look like everyone's about pretty even besides mid lane. Annie is slacking a little bit, and so is Ashe in bottom. For some reason, Rell has almost about half as Ashe, so I don't know
Yeah.
what's happening down there, but yes.
Well, Rel is one of those champions. If you look at her, she's got an orb floating around her. And it's given to her by her support item. That when she has an orb, she can hit one of the minions, and she earns gold for both her and the ADC. So when you use that, I can't remember what the name is, but when you use that support item, you're supposed to hit the minions. So that's probably why she has a slightly higher CS than a normal support. So right now she has 2 orbs. When her ADC is in lane, she's able to hit the minions.
Okay, and as you can see, Nasus did die in top lane, and Warwick did survive, but did have to recall after that fight.
We did also lose Ashe in the bot lane that died to Ezreal. But also kind of in exchange, top lane was able to get several plates off of that top tower. So a lot of exchanges happening right now.
And Ashe and Rell do come back down the bottom to catch Israel back alone, while Blitzcrank is still coming towards bot, and Nasus did come back up.
Gragas going again. Just getting even that one hit on Nasus, like taking about a third of his life and just that one hit. Gragas is definitely starting to create some space between him and Nasus, which is going to make things challenging for Apollo in the top lane.
I mean, it is pretty good because if Nasus does get fed, it is very hard to play against him, especially when his ult does go active. He is very difficult to defeat.
Looks like Annie was able to use her ultimate to try to fight off Yasuo, and Tower dove to try to get her. Oof. Oh,
Both
that was
Rell
a really good engage.
Rail does die, and so does Israel, but Ashe and Blitzcrank do survive, and while that was happening, Yasuo did take Annie in mid lane.
The reason why that was such a good engage is because, yes, Rel died, but Ashe took out the Israel and got the shutdown gold for that, which is definitely going to help Ashe since she is a little bit behind. That extra little bit of gold, that's definitely where you wanted that kill to be on. You wanted that to be on Ashe.
Yes, and as you can see, our top lane and Hecarim are both going for Yasuo right now. Blitz and Warwick are trying to come up and help. It will be a 2v3. Let's see if they can pull it off. Rel is coming up to help as well. Let's see if this can somehow turn in Camelback's favor, and here we go. Top does go in. Yasuo does die. It does look like Blitzcrank is trying to get out of there, but does die and gets pulled back by Hecarim. And there goes Ashe trying to help. Ashe does die by Israel, and Israel does make a mistake by killing her, so he does die. Hecarim pulls him back and stuns Warwick. They are under tower, so they are taking turret fire, but Warwick does die by Annie from coming down.
So what happened
to
at that
bottom.
point, Gragas took the aggro from the tower. And what happens there is the tower can't focus on all the champions. It can only focus on one. So because Gragas is so tanky, he is taking the tower aggro while the rest of the team can attack Warwick and attack the tower itself. They also used Rift Herald and took out that tower, which is the first tower for Camelback, and it gave them a really good place to take Dragon.
And I can see what kind of flown through Dragon was Israel's ult. He did try to take Dragon, so it was kind of a smart play by him, but just a little bit too early.
Yeah, that's the hardest thing when you don't have vision in the Dragon Pit. To try to steal a dragon and not really know how much life the dragon has left. It's just kind of a shot in the dark and see if you get lucky. So
Yeah,
looks
it is
now
pretty hard.
Apollo is back and clearing some vision. Ashe and Rel just trying to see how far they can push. Waiting for some minions to see what kind of engage they're going to get.
Yes, it does look like Blitzcrank is in their forest or jungle. He's going to mid, but a lot of Camelback is bottom side jungle. Annie's at her second tower, and top lane did just go down for the enemy team. Yasuo was there, but just a little bit too late. Blitzcrank and Israel are coming up, but trying to gank our top laner. Hecarim might go up there trying to find them. And he's just staying in mid lane. Rel and Ashe are bottom lane, just trying to take that while Gnosis is down there. A little bit of fight right here up top lane.
Yeah, another good engage going on. Yasuo is level 12. That is definitely the one champion that has gotten fed on Apollo's side. So Camelback just needs to be careful because he is really, really fed.
Yeah, but as long as Blitzcrank got a really good pull on Hecarim right there. He did take a lot of damage, but Hecarim is very low. He's about to die. Warwick, you can see him coming and trying to steal that, but did get stunned so much. He is about to die, and there he goes from Annie's huge teddy bear.
That was a really good job by both Annie and Rel watching out for their jungler. Their jungler does have both red and blue buff, and if somebody kills him, they steal his buffs. So that was really good teamwork of protecting their jungler. And
was
not
very
dying
good.
themselves. That was a really good engage. Well done.
It is now 15-8 for Camelback with 15 kills and Apollo for 8. So it does look like in coins or money, it's about starting to spread a lot more, about 2 or 3,000. So it is looking pretty far ahead for Camelback.
Yeah, definitely. And this is the point of the game where you got to start paying attention to objectives. There isn't like a set time to like, oh, laning phase is over now. It's just once towers start going down, that's when laning phase kind of ends and you can start seeing champions rotating in different directions. Yasuo is in top lane, Ezreal's in the mid lane, and it looks like Blitzcrank
and
and
Gnosis.
Gnosis are in bot. So, like, champions start to move around once they start to see, like, who's fed, who can handle whom. I would be willing to guess that Apollo realized Nasus is not doing well against that Gragas, so let's switch it up and let's see if we can find some better opportunities, because they do realize that they are a little bit behind. And as more of Camelback starts to get fed, the harder it is going to be to win those fights. So you can see champions starting to move around. Supports are clearing vision, laying out vision, clearing out minion waves, looking for the next engage.
Yep, and here we go. As you can see in the mid lane, there's about 4 people for Camelback and 3 for Apollo. Nasus is bot lane. Yasuo going up to top, and Blitz, Warwick, and Israel are in mid. Warwick trying to gank for our top laner, and here we go. Let's see what happens. He goes for the stun and his ultimate. He does freeze. He also trying to get his spin, trying to get away. Is taking tower damage. Yasuo uses his ult as he tries to get away. Dashes and also uses the barrel. Warwick just coming in so
Warwick is
fast.
So fast.
Just hauling, all trying to get there. Nasus is getting taken down by 4 other people though. So there he goes. He's still alive.
Warwick is trying so hard to take out that Gragas, and he's just not able to, and Gragas still walks away.
Somehow he pulled it off.
Excellent job by Chris. Like, holy cow. He took so much damage and just would not go down. While Camelback kind of split pushed in a way and took out the Nasus on the side. And then just pushing Apollo out of their jungle to really kind of prepare for Dragon. Realizing that we really don't want Apollo to have their 3rd dragon. We really need this one. So they're going to pull out the dragon out of the pit and see if we get an engage or if Camelback's able to take dragon.
Top lane did come down. And Rel does take it before Israel does. So Israel tried to with his ult, but it did not work out.
That was
didn't
close.
miss his pool.
That one was,
It was
definitely
very
a lot
close.
closer. Like, I had to go look at the alerts, like, in the chat to see who actually got it.
Yeah, it is very scary to see who gets dragon, because when you do get 4 dragons, you do get a buff. Or when you do get more, it will only show 4, but you will get that buff.
Exactly. So that's a really, really good place for Camelback. And all really pushing up here. Gragas obviously being the first one. They take out Ezreal. Looks like Nasus is about to go down. And again, Gragas is so tanky. He just can take all that aggro and still walk away.
Yes, you did use his Q or his Roran to get Rel. So Rel does go down. But it does look like each team did take 1 other player. Ashe is very low mana, so I don't know what she will be able to do. Gragas is trying to go down. Rel does, or not Rel, Hecarim does try to go in, trying to get a kill, coming back, but very low. Does get Warwick, but
Ooh.
Hecarim
They do also
is
get
very low.
Blitz, and just creating opportunities to where Yasuo is so low, but 3 of Camelback's champions are also really low, so it's better not to risk it. Yasuo does get away, as everyone seems to be recalling, and you have a little bit of a reset.
Especially too, when you have gold in this game and it's about 1,000, you know, you usually want to recall for the stuff you get, because it is very important to get it, and it does help you out a lot.
Yeah, gold in your pocket does absolutely nothing for you in this game. If you're playing the game and you have 1,000, 2,000 or more gold in like your reservoir, that means nothing. You need to go back to the fountain and buy items with that gold. Like, that's what makes you stronger, not having the gold itself, but the items that you're able to buy. So that's why it's important that even when champions are healthy, that they go back and buy those items so they can get stronger.
Yeah, level does matter too, but without the items that you do have, it will mean absolutely nothing, because items are the only things that really do make you strong besides level, and they're the most important. And this king does go down. Looks like Nasus will too from the Rel.
Some really really good
And
engages
also-
here.
and
Ezreal
also-
does go down as well. Looks like Warwick is taken down. Yasuo is the only one alive in top lane, but looks like Camelback is going to push and take out this tower in mid lane.
Gargus does go for Yasuo in top. Sadly, Yasuo did get that turret, but everyone else from Camelback did get that mid lane turret. Top lane turret for Apollo does look very weak, and does look like Camelback will be trying to get that second mid turret, and
Yeah,
it does
so-
look like they do.
Gragas is so tanky right now, and they've had a couple engages just between Gragas and Nasus. Gragas knows Nasus is not going to cause any damage. So Camelback stayed mid lane, pushed for 2 towers, while Gragas recalled and took care of Nasus in the top lane. Nasus is quickly, not Nasus, sorry, Yasuo is quickly trying to get away, but Gragas is right on his heels, trying to take him out. So we're getting a good engage here. Hecarim shows up to try to help.
And does get that kill. And you try to come up too, but you probably had to get some health from the jungle.
Right, so that definitely some great engages from Camelback. That brings the deaths 9 to 26. That is that gap is definitely going to help Camelback, because that translates to gold. That Camelback is now 6,000 gold ahead.
Yeah, so it is very good for Camelback, especially too when they spend the gold at the fountain, because like we said earlier, anything you buy in this game, well, just about anything, it will definitely make you stronger. But you need to know what to buy, because if you just buy random things, some
Right.
things are stronger than others. So you just need to know what to buy, and everything will just be alright.
Yeah, it looks like Dragon is up in 20 seconds. Camelback is laying down some vision. While Hecarim and Gragas were pushing top lane a little bit. Apollo is there as well, trying to clear vision, trying to see if they can get any early engages. They just constantly keep taking out each other's wards. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of engage we have here. Looks like Rel started off by doing some stuns.
Blitzcrank does go down, and as you can see, our top does go for the other top. Nasus does go down. Here we go. It looks like Israel does go down as well, and Yasuo and I think that is Warwick that are the only 2 that do escape.
Right, and not only is Camelback able to get a few extra deaths out of that, but they got their 3rd dragon. Looks like Ashe stayed back to keep chunking down dragon, and that puts us 2 to 3 dragons in Camelback's favor.
And
So
for the gold difference, it does look like it's about 8,000 away. So this is looking very good for Camelback.
absolutely, looks like everyone's just getting a little extra gold. Looks like Ashe went back, reset. Annie is recalling right now. Gragas is top lane, gonna clear out that minion wave. Looks like Rel did the same thing for bot lane. So kind of just resetting for the next objective. Rift Herald. Is it Rift Herald or is it Baron already? Oh, there's no vision on there. I can't see. So in the Baron pit, there is a monster there. I'm not sure if it's Rift or if it's now Baron. So that is ready, but if it is Baron, you have to be careful about when to go and engage. Baron takes a lot to take down, even as a whole team. Looks like we have a little bit more vision. Okay, so it is Baron. That's up. So Baron, you can see his life is very, very high. It takes a lot to take him out. So you need to make sure that you're in a position where you can do it safely, because a team fight at Baron usually does not go well for you.
It is all depending on the teams, like we said, whatever you buy. Here comes Annie and Real trying to take out that Warwick. Does look like Warwick will get away, but Bliss trying to help Nasus. And our top laner are having a little bit of a spar in bottom lane. And it does look like he does get the kill.
Yeah, he's definitely going to get that kill. Gragas is just, I feel like no one can really stop him. So that's definitely a huge advantage that Gragas is so incredibly fed. Oh my goodness, I hadn't even seen how many kills he has. He has 14 kills and 9 assists. That is kind of gross. I would hate to be playing against that Gragas right now.
It does suck because you did get fed by the Gnosis, so nothing you can really do.
Yeah, that is crazy. But you know, there is
But
something to be said about CS. So when you look at that Yasuo, we know that Yasuo is very, very fed. It's about the only champion that's like even semi able to stand against that Gragas, but he's only got 3 kills. And he has more CS than Gragas does. That just goes to show how effective CS it can be.
TS,
Like, even
like,
without the kills, you have a champion that is very, very strong. And it's purely because the player has been able to CS well throughout the game.
it does look like Rel and Ash did die in that team fight. So there we go. Yasuo did recall to the fountain. And
Yeah,
Gragas is just trying to take that tower, but couldn't. And then
it was definitely a difficult engage. Blitz really got a good hook that was able to pull the Rel in. And once they pulled the Rel, like that just creates... Rel's able to support so well and protect the rest of the team. Looks like Annie goes down again. Blitz hooked her over the wall. So this is the point where Camelback needs to start being very, very careful. Because at the end of the day, you can have the most kills, but that's not going to win you the game. You have to take out the enemy's base in order to win. So it is completely possible for teams to win with having less kills, less towers, less everything. Because it's all about how effective you are at taking out the team's base. So we need to make sure that Camelback is playing smart and making sure that we are careful not to give any extra to Apollo.
yeah, and the kills are still doing really good. Apollo does have 12, but Camelback has 13. And for the gold, it did change. It's only about 3,000 away from each team.
So yeah, Apollo definitely looking for those engages. I think they realize team fights are not going to work in their favor. So Camelback needs to stay together. If they go separately, it will create some challenges. Dragon is up in 17 seconds, and Apollo knows they do not want Camelback to get this because that will be Soul. And that's what starts giving you buffs and kind of an extra advantage. So it's important. We're going to have another engage here for sure.
Here we go. Everyone's just trying to fight for dragon, especially because Camelback does have 3 dragons. So it could really work well for them. And Israel does go down. And it does look like the Gnosis will as well. No one has really started dragon yet because everyone's just running. Working Yasuo trying to run away.
And that's the part. Camelback has been so smart about this. Dragon's going to be there. Like, even though it's spawned, Dragon is going to be there for a little while longer. So what's smart right now is that as a team, you engage and you especially try to take out their jungler and give you an opportunity to take Dragon. And looks like Ashe was hanging back, but Camelback has changed their mind and they're going to go for Baron instead.
Baron does help a lot more. But it does look like Yasuo is taking Dragon alone. While Camelback does go for Baron, Yasuo just took Dragon alone. But Camelback is going for Baron.
So that was definitely a good distraction. Baron does give a much bigger buff. And I don't think Apollo had a clue that they were going for Baron. So Baron not only gives your champions a buff, but it also gives all the minions a buff, which is going to allow them to hit towers a lot harder. So it'll be interesting to see what Camelback's able to get with Baron.
It will be interesting this round because for both teams they do have 3 dragons, and each team is about 10k away from each other.
Right, so the next dragon will be Soul for either team. So that's definitely going to be a very fun engage to watch because both teams desperately need that dragon.
Yes, both teams do, and does look like Apollo is just staying on their side. Will Comeback is trying to make that push while they do have Baron.
Yeah, this is where you definitely, as a team, have to play defensively. The definitely an advantage that Camelback has is they can try to do a little bit of a split push because Gragas is so tanky. But it does look like Camelback is staying pretty close together. Gragas is trying to go around to maybe catch somebody out and just to half the life um, of that
He-
Blitzcrank.
and he's trying to help spawn in his teddy bear. Greg is just really so strong. Hecarim does take out Warwick. Rel does take Israel out, and Yasuo does die by Gragas. Rel taking a few hits from tower, and they are taking mid tower and inhibitor.
Yeah, with this buff, like, those towers are melting. You can see the Nexus, like, just took a few hits. At this point, they're waiting on minions. So if you see Camelback just kind of hanging out here, if they go for that tower, they're going to get hit. So they're waiting for minions to get there. Tibbers will take some of that damage, but not much. But even with Blitzcrank, like, he hooked Pugman. But still, that tower goes down.
Nasus does as well, and Argus does pull Blitzcrank out and does catch him. There goes down Warwick, and the Camelback does take the game.
That's really great teamwork. So Ash was focusing the towers while the rest of the team was focusing the champions. A really great job by Camelback, realizing, you know, their Ash is their squishiest, so let her do the damage to the towers while everybody else goes for the team. That was a great, great game. So we're going to put on some music as we reset for game 2 of our series for today. We'll be back.
When the world is calling out your name, begging you to fight. Pick yourself up once more. Pick yourself up, 'cause legends never die. When the world is calling you, can you hear them screaming out your name? KDA, should we show them how we do it every day? Let's get it. Kali that girl, Kali go girl, Kali don't stop, Kali don't skirt, Kali got a job, Kali go to work. 뜨거워 언제나 don't get burned. 넘쳐 흘러물 than a buffet, 죽여주잖아 like a buffet. 누가 감히 on my outfit, 이건 문 열지 마, that's a rock day. Don't give any more 'cause I'm greater than. 필요 없는 시험들 다 뿐이미. But all of my numbers are talking bang. 부루마법 메시지 monopoly. 눈종이도 네 number money 필요 없대 너네들이 만든 돈들 go get it, go get it, go get it. 더 미션 눈을 못대 못해 그래 너도 그래 'cause I got it different. All I ever know is life upon the throne. 시작하면 끝을 보는
Welcome back to game 2. So we are just the beginning stages of our picks and bans. We did switch sides. Camelback is blue, and Apollo is red. And it looks like we start off by banning that Blitzcrank. You know, he definitely created some challenges for us. He had some really good hooks, so that's I can get behind that ban.
The Apollo did end up banning Veigar, and Camelback did banning Echo for the second pick.
Right. So, I mean, a lot of times, like, even though they banned Gragas, I totally saw that coming. So you have an idea of who to ban. We scout the other teams. We can, there's a website that allows you to type in the opponent's in-game summoner name, and you get to see their recent history, and that's standard practice in League of Legends. So we're able to look at their past history, and based on their history, we make decisions of who we want to play and who we don't want them to play. But then after we've had a game with them, then we can also make decisions based on what, you know, happened in the last game, hence why Apollo decides to ban Gragas and why we chose to ban Blitzcrank and Yasuo.
We also banned Echo, but then they did end up banning Udar. And as you can see, for our first pick, we picked Ashe, you know, it's a common pick for us. But they also picked All-Star and Vigo, and we also picked Real as our support again.
Yeah, so if we remember, Alistar and Viego were two of the bans that we banned last game. So I think Apollo is definitely putting their support and their mid laner in champions that they are comfortable with that we had banned. Also, we banned. Whoa, something just happened. Give us 1 second, folks. We got kicked out of the game. So we're gonna have to. Martin, did it kick you out of the game?
No, one of the people did end up leaving. They just joined back right now, so we will have to restart the process.
Huh. Interesting. Give us just 1 second. We will figure out what happened. And we will be back. All right, folks, looks like we are coming back. So what happens is when a player does not pick their champion within their allotted time, it's considered quote, like the term is a dodge. The game ends and it forces everyone to restart. So one of the Apollo players misclicked. So we are, it kind of kicked us all out of the game. So we are back Both teams agreed. Now that we've seen some of our picks and bans, um, what we had picked and banned so far for both sides, we are going to stick with those exact same things. Um, so you will see the exact same bans on our side: Blitz, Echo, and Yasu, and on theirs you will see Vigar, Gragas, and Udyr. Our first two picks were Ash and Rel. Their first two picks were Alistar and Viego. So those will go rather quickly, as both teams have agreed in good sportsmanship to, be honest and keep the same things that we had done before we had that accidental dodge.
It does look like where we left off as of right now, so everything from now will be new.
Right.
So as we could see, we
Camelback
did
has
choose
picked
Kane.
Kane. That's going to be our jungle, right?
I think so, either that or he will be mid.
No, I don't think Wilson plays Kane. So I'm pretty sure that should be our jungle pick. And it looks like they have Cassiopeia, which now I'm really confused. I don't know where Viego and Cassiopeia are going to go because I thought they were both mid laners. So, yeah.
I've never seen Cassiopeia, so that would be pretty interesting. But if I were to take a guess, it would either have to be jungle or bottom lane.
No, I don't think she's in either one of those. So it'll be interesting. I've seen, the only reason I know Cassiopeia, ooh, they banned Annie.
Well, we did ban Nasus too, so I think that's a fair trade.
That's rough. Cassiopeia, I only know what she looks like because of TFT, which is a different game mode in League of Legends. I haven't actually seen her in like regular league. So it looks like we also banned, I think it's Samira. Yeah.
Yes.
Samira. So, and they banned Garen.
We,
And took
they
Darius.
did. Darius is a really good person, especially if you know how to use him, and his passive is
Right.
major.
So
I've
Darius
used
is
Darius.
definitely going to be top lane. So you are right. Viego and Cassiopeia, I would assume one of those has got to be the ADC, right?
Yes. Because I know Cassiopeia, if anything, she looks like a more jungle or ADC. Vigo would have to be the mid lane, All-Star definitely tank, so definitely in bottom. And then
Yeah.
we also have Ari and Gangplank. Gangplank top, Ari mid lane. And this
Right.
last person either has to be mid or
Oh.
bottom. Look, there we go.
That's the
They choose
ADC.
Israel.
So I'm curious to see who's jungle. I don't know Viego and Cassiopeia at all, so I don't know which one's mid and which one's jungle. Let's see. Looks like Viego's a jungler. Okay then, learn something new every day.
Whoa, okay.
So on our side, we have Gangplank, which if you've seen Nubasaur on Gangplank, he can get pretty fed. So that's going to be a really good matchup against Darius. Kane, definitely. Isaac is one of his top ones. Ari in mid lane, and then of course our duo Ash and Rel. Rel had a really great game last game. She was really able to protect the team. Pugman did a phenomenal job with Rel. I'm surprised they didn't ban Rel, honestly.
Yes, it would be pretty funny to see him go Blitzcrank, but our team did
Yeah.
ban Blitzcrank for the first ban. But it does look like for their team, Israel and All-Star, of course, All-Star support and Israel jungle. Cassiopeia is mid lane. Vigo is jungle, and Darius is up top.
Yeah, so it'll definitely be interesting, especially for us. Like, I do not know Alistar. I knew that Alistar was a support, but that's about it. And again, Viego and Cassiopeia, I have no clue. So we'll have to be really attentive to see what happens in those lanes, to see what matchups there are. I honestly don't know what kind of engages or what kind of ultimates they have. We do know Darius and Ezreal are really good champions, so it'll be very interesting to see what we get from those other champions.
Yes, it would be. And for bottom lane, I'd like to see how their support All-Star plays this out against Aurel because they already know how plays, so it'd be pretty interesting to see what they will do.
Yeah, Alistar is definitely a little tankier. Um, Let me see. We have a minute and a half. Let me see if I can look up Alistar's abilities because I wonder what kind of engages um it will Alistar is going to be able to have. Like, does he have? Okay, so it's definitely a tank support. He has a headbutt, a trample, a pulverize, and a triumphant roar. Those are like the names of his abilities. So just by the names, like he's meant to definitely do um, some tanky damage. But again, it all depends on how they build and how quickly they can scale.
Yeah, that is true. And since Gangplank is going up against Darius, and since I know how he knows how to play Gangplank and Darius, I have played them very well in some of our practice games. It will be interesting to see how this goes down.
Yeah, definitely. I'm also curious to see if Apollo's going to start off by playing as aggressive as it did last game. We did have, the little cheeky play at the beginning trying to get a gank. So it'll be interesting to see how both teams decide to start. But also how aggressive that laning phase is going to be. If Apollo's going to try to play it a little safer to not feed as much early, because that really helped us in the last game. The fact that we were able to get some of those early kills because Apollo was playing so aggressively.
I mean, he did play aggressive, but it did also help us out a lot.
Yeah, definitely. All right, so we're just gonna play a little bit of music while our screen loads up. It does usually take a little bit of time for the game to fully load, but as soon as our champions get on the map, we will come back.
Welcome to the world, no heroes and villains. Welcome to the war, we've only begun. So pick up your weapon and face it. There's blood on the ground, go and take it. You get one shot to make it out alive. So higher and higher you chase it. It's deep in your bones, go and take it. This is your moment. Now is your time, so prove yourself and rise, rise. Make them remember you. Rise, push to heaven. Rise, rise. They will remember you. Rise. Welcome to the climb up, reach for the summit. Visions brave the one false step lead the end. So higher and higher you chase it. It's deep in your blood, go and take it. This is your moment. Take to the skies, go. Prove yourself and rise, rise. Make them remember you. Push to heaven. Rise, rise. They will remember you.
All right. That is definitely my favorite song. Martin, I don't think you could hear it because I only have it play on my computer. But seriously, Rise, like, it's one of the themes of League of Legends for one of the world championships. Um, Definitely one of my favorite League of Legends songs.
It definitely is. I did hear it, so you
Okay.
don't have to worry about it. I have the
Good.
stream kind of open. So,
Oh,
does
awesome.
look like Camelback will be trying to do the same play again. So let's see what
Oh.
does happen because it does look like they did get spotted. Looks like they're trying to go down and get Israel and All Star, and just trying to catch them off guard.
Yeah, looks like Apollo was definitely ready. They had vision in that bush. So definitely didn't get what we got last time. You know, they were able to chunk down a couple of their champions' lives. Looks like Viego and Darius are on what's that going to be? The red side on our side of the jungle.
No, that will
Um,
be the blue
oh,
side.
that's the blue side. Thank you. So Ari and Gangplank are coming up on them, so it'll be interesting to see. Yep, they know that they're there.
Let's see what happens. It could be a 2v2. So this could be very interesting. Looks like they will try to pull out the blue, but does go after Gangplank. Doesn't
Yeah.
not look like they will get the blue, so looks
No,
like
they'll
Ari
just
just
let it
will just
go.
take it.
That's definitely smart. It's not worth the engage. But it does also look like Kane went up there. He did not get the red buff to start. He's going to start with blue buff.
There we go,
Very
not much
interesting.
vision, but it's just a little bit here and there. You know, everything just start off slow.
Yeah,
People
Vision's
are
definitely hard early game. Every champion only starts with one ward. Oh, so now we see what Alistar does. Just kind of like punched Rel and threw Rel up against the wall. That was insane. So because they only get one ward at the beginning, and you can see everything's on a timer now. Vision is difficult early game.
Only reason why vision is difficult early game because everyone is very low and nobody wants to get fed up early game or feed the enemy team. Being fed, everyone wants to be that, but getting the enemy team fed, nobody wants to do that.
Right.
Absolutely nobody.
So Ari did some good damage in mid lane, and looks like Kane went up to try to gank that Darius. And they got a good chunk of his life, but he was able to get away. Had to use his flash though.
You did, and that's very bad because early game when you have to use your flash, it is not pretty.
Right.
Rel
Getting a
does go
good
and try to get
engage on
All-Star.
Alistar, and really chunked him down really, really low, forcing them to push back, which is good because it makes it harder for Apollo to CS because they have to stay further away. So some good early engages, not resulting in any kills yet. But both teams showing, you know, a little bit of aggression, but at the same time knowing that they have to play safe early game.
They do, especially if they would have had the All-Star, you know, he really could have gotten an advantage, especially for a 2v1. As you can see, Darius is taking a lot of damage against that Gangplank, and
Yeah.
that is really what, at least, I want to see because I'm going for Camelback, so bad for
that
Apollo, but
Gangplank is
good for
already a
Camelback.
level ahead of Darius. Granted, it's still early, like, you know, levels will balance themselves out further into the game. But really getting to that level 6, that's really the most important. That's when you get your ultimate is at level 6. So it creates some challenging situations if your opponent reaches that level 6 before you do.
It does, especially for the top laners because they do have, what we usually say, their own little world up there because no one really goes up there besides jungle. So it's like, it's really just a 1v1 situation all the time. And the only reason why people pick tank characters like Darius, Gangplank, Cho'Gath, Garen, and you know, just some other people that are really tanky. That's
Yeah.
because it's always just a 1v1 and just see who can outlast the other person first.
You know, Ari in mid lane is doing a much better job with the CS. She is behind Cassiopeia, but not as much as she was last game. So I think it's important for her to try to keep that up. She is level 5 along with Cassiopeia. I think Cassiopeia got level 5 a little earlier. But for the most part, it's not too bad.
That is true. But it does look like everyone is keeping steady.
Dragon has spawned. Looks like both teams have vision in the pit and around the pit. Really trying to create some opportunities for their jungle. This early Dragon can be taken down by a jungler by themselves, or maybe with the assistance of one other person. So we'll see who decides to go for it. Looks like Kane did back, so bought some items. Might be getting ready.
Does look like that All-Star did take a lot of damage and he does go down.
Nice.
And it does look like this Darius will go down as well in the top lane. Looks like
That is
Rel did try to
fantastic.
jump on.
They did try to
The
get a little
Israel.
bit on that Ezreal, but was not able to really monopolize on it. But that's all right. This is where, you know, they got to hang back. I don't think they're aware that Viego is there in their jungle. So this is going to create a challenging situation. Looks like Rel does go down, but Ashe does a good job of getting away, which is important. She did have to use her flash, but she got out alive, which means she can continue to get experience and CS in lane.
So it looks like Gangplank is 2 levels ahead of that Darius, so it does looking very good for him up there in the top lane.
Yeah, definitely. So now Rel is back in lane. Definitely can help out.
Looks like Rel tried to jump on All-Star, but it did not work because All-Star really just
Yeah, that's
ran
crazy.
at her.
Alistar looks like can repel the Rel and get her off. So yeah, so that'll be interesting. It'll make things a little bit more challenging for Pugman. So he's just got to find the right time to find those engages. So it looks like they're going to try to go 2v1, and oof, Gangplank does go down to that Darius. Oh, wait. No, I had that right.
No, Gangplank did die, but one of the characters on the enemy team, if they do die, he can get their soul and become them. And I saw this when the Rel died, and it confused me a lot.
Okay, so I didn't see it happen when Rel died, but yeah, I look over, I was like, wait, Rel, like, Gangplank has a red circle. Wait, what's going on? That
Yeah,
makes
so
a little more sense
one
now.
of his abilities that I can tell, not by just him, but is that the souls of the enemy champions, when they die, within 3 seconds, he can take their souls and become them.
Interesting. I think I remember talking to our assistant coach about this. I think he takes their abilities, but he can't take their ultimate, if I remember correctly. It might have been a different champion we were talking about, but I think that's what it was.
No, but I'm pretty sure he only has 10 seconds during the time. And of course, as they go up level more, you know, the more it increases. So, and I'm pretty sure that is only his passive ability, because if that was an ult, oh my god,
That's
everyone
crazy.
would use him.
I mean, it's very similar to Silas. Silas is able to steal the ultimates of anyone in the map. So, but yeah, as you can see right now, we're pretty even. 2-2 kills. Gold is pretty even. Looks like Apollo's a tiny little bit ahead by 200 gold. So in this game, it doesn't mean much. Looks like Ashe and Rel got a good engage on their jungle, really chunked him down a lot, but wasn't able to take him out.
Well, he does end up going down, so there he goes. All-Star was caught off guard, but did go back to bottom lane, and everyone just kind of mid bottom jungle and just bottom, and then as you can see,
Yeah, really
top having
pushed
their
that
own little world.
Viego back, because now he has to wait until he's able to heal up, which means he can go for Dragon. Looks like Kane is there trying to set up for Dragon. Cassiopeia was there. Looks like Ari is going to go down for that.
He did take Ari's soul and possess Ari. So as you can see, if you are mistaken, there goes Ari. He did try to get that kill, but didn't.
like
So they
Kane
go just
is
trying
able to
to.
get away from that, which that's really good. Did push everybody off of Dragon.
No, it does look like Kane is still trying to escape. Just
Oh yeah, and Kane's going in the wrong direction, so he is going to be taken out by the turret. Um, but the one thing that does happen there is that no one actually gets that kill. Which I have heard like that is a strategy at for some people. Um, if no one is near you and the tower kills you or minions kill you, then nobody gets credit for that. So you're not feeding into anybody.
yes,
Yes,
that
you
is
died,
true.
but nobody gets the gold for your death, essentially.
And nobody gets that XP either, so no one can really level up or just get gold or spend it
Exactly.
in the fountain.
I mean, it does still hurt you because it takes you away from the map, but it doesn't help the other team.
I mean, it was a smart play in my opinion, so it is fine. So there we go in bottom lane, as you can see, Rel trying to go in the All-Star. The All-Star did die, so there we go. Rel is very much hurt, a little bit less than half. And that Israel is very low on mana, so it would really suck if he died right there.
Looks like Rel really tried to get that engage. And Isaac is there to try to help out and see if they're able to get something on that Ezreal. Doesn't look like they got an engage, but they have priority for Dragon, and I think that's where they're headed.
Yes, they do. The Rel is very badly hurt, so there we go. Ashe does come up. There's Ahri, Rel, and our junglers are just all taking drag.
Yeah, with all four of them there, they're really going to be able to melt down. Ezreal tried to use his ultimate, but again, it was just a little too early. So Camelback does walk away with the first dragon. And it looks like they're going to try to possibly engage on this Cassiopeia that tried to come down. Rel jumps on her, and that was an easy take. Clearing out that minion wave in mid lane to try to push it up to tower. Looks like Alistar does show up to try to protect that tower a little bit.
Does look like just Ashe and Israel are just 1v1 in bottom lane, but Rel and All-Star coming back. All-Star is a lot closer because he is in the bottom river.
Right. So Ashe just took out what she could for CS, just took out the red minions, and then did the smart thing, and that is not to overextend and push back. There was nothing else for Ashe to get at that point. So just pull back and wait for Rel to get there, and it's a really good play there. Looks like they tried to go on Gangplank, and it didn't work out so well. Another engage in bot lane, and Alistar is taking the brunt of it. Had to flash. Ashe flashes to try to keep up and is able to get the kill. That was a really great play by Ashe. Alistar flashed, so Ashe flashed right behind him, really chunking him down with those arrows, and ultimately got the kill.
It was a good play by Ashe, but then again too, Rel did try to get All-Star, but he did push him back, so it was very sad to see.
Cassiopeia is able to hold off against Kayn and really does take her down. Gangplank taking a lot of damage from that Cassiopeia. And Ahri trying to finish her off, and he did. Got it. Unfortunately, Darius was there and took out Gangplank. Ahri trying to get away, but that Alistar really stunned her and was not able to walk away from that. So I think that was a pretty even exchange. I think that was a 2 for 2. Unfortunate because I think Camelback had a really good start to that engage. They just had some Apollo players join at the perfect time to back up their teammates. That was well done by Apollo.
There we go. All-Star does ram Rel into the wall there,
Yeah, looks like
but
they're
they
trying to
do
get
end up.
a gank. Viego is in the bot lane. But Kayn shows up as well very quickly to support. looks like Kane is just hanging out in the bush, just waiting for the right moment to attack, and is able to go on Alistar.
Yep, and there goes Gangplank trying to get the Darius. Did take the turret, so it is looking very good for him. It looks like Alistar is almost dead. Does die by the Kane, and Darius does die.
Cassiopeia and Ezreal are just on either side of Camelback. So it'll be interesting to see who they choose to go for. Looks like Viego shows up, and they are taking out Viego. Cassiopeia is right behind them.
But it does look like everyone is dying one by one. The
Yeah.
Cassiopeia is in mid lane. Ash tried to use her bow to try to get the Cassiopeia, but doesn't.
Yeah,
And it does look like
they got stunned by Cassiopeia, but looks like they're able to do a really good job at counteract that, and they are able to take her down. And I believe they kill win on Ari, which is really good.
And there you go. There is Israel. He does use his flash to get away. All Star is back, but it does look like Camelback will just take the lead for now.
Yeah, I think Camelback did a really good job of staying together. I know I've been in games where you get attacked from 3 different areas. It is so easy if you don't have the team communication to everyone naturally split in different directions. So that's really well done by Camelback to be listening to each other about who to engage on to make sure they don't get separated and be taken out one by one. So that was a good engage for Camelback.
Yes, it was. And as you can see, Gangplank is trying to take that mid turret. Darius is still up there, taking a little bit of tower damage.
Yeah, so Darius is taking a really good advantage of the fact that we have these engages going on in river and in mid lane. And he's just up in top trying to take out that tower. Looks like Viego did go down. Gangplank really got hurt in that engage, down to like a quarter life. Cassiopeia tried to show up and engage, but it was a quick disengage from there.
Look, they will go for Dragon. Darius does get that first top turret.
So I think that's what this game is going to come down to a lot of times, is looking for those small opportunities. We just saw Apollo take a perfect one. Everybody else was focused somewhere else in the map. They were able to take that tower. Unfortunately, because all of Camelback is in the river by Dragon, they are able to take out that Cassiopeia. So it's working to our advantage that Apollo is a little bit more spread out right now. So they're able to find those engages as 3 of Camelback's players take out that mid tower.
It does look like Darius is caught in a loop with Kane, and Gangplank does get a little bit of damage on him.
Yeah, so he is definitely caught on the wrong side of the map. We still have a tower up, so he doesn't have a place to run to safety because there are no towers near him. None of his teammates were around, so that was definitely a dangerous place for that Darius to be in. Oh, that was a good escape by Alistar. Rill almost jumping on him. Caused Alistar to use his flash, but was able to get away from that Rill.
It is really good, and does look like Kane did take blue buff. Everyone's kind of in the mid lane. Israel is coming down the mid lane as well.
Yeah, I think, you know, from what I can see, Camelback's having a lot of luck with these team fights. When they stay together, they are able to really hold off whatever Apollo has. So it's smart to have them stick together wherever they can. Looks like Isaac is in top lane taking Rift Herald. Alistar clearing vision down in the bot lane and the river. I'm sorry, I don't think that's Rift anymore. I think that's Baron.
Yeah, I think so as well.
I didn't
But
realize how
we-
far into the game we were. I looked, I was like,
Well, you
oh, we're
are-
at 20 minutes. Wow, this game's going fast.
Yes, it is. It is 14-6 for Camelback with having 14 kills. For turrets, Camelback does have 2, and Apollo does only have 1.
Yeah, there's been so much going on. We haven't had too many dull moments. Those 20 minutes have definitely flown by.
Yes, it has. There's been a lot of games, team fights. 1v1s in this game. It does look like they will try to catch Darius off guard. Here go Rel and Ashe going in first.
Nice. That was a really good stun, and Isaac is right there with Kayn, ready to follow up, and they chunk down that Darius very, very quickly. Looks like Ezreal and Viego are both there. They do have a tower to protect them, so that's a quick way for Camelback to disengage, knowing that we have no minions there. Rel puts himself in a dangerous situation, taking all that tower aggro. And he is going to be taken out by that Ezreal ult. But was able to get the Viego kill, which is good for Camelback.
It does look like Israel is trapped, trying to go for that Ashe first. But Ashe does take Israel.
Yep. So Kayn went around the back, just outside of tower aggro. They kind of trapped that Ezreal behind his tower. No matter which way he went, he was either going to face Kayn or face Ashe. He chose to go towards Ashe and see if he could get away from that. I thought I saw him even like spamming the dancing a little bit to see like almost like come and get me. But in the end, he does go down to the Ashe.
It does look like everyone is doing good. But the CS Gangplank is at least 100 away from Darius. Oh my god.
Fed. It is insane how far ahead that Gangplank is. Wow.
For jungles, they're pretty even. They're only about like 4 or 5 off, so it is looking really good for Ashe and the
Ahri is down by about
Ezreal.
half. But I think that's about where she was last game. I think she's doing a good job at not feeding with kills. She's only died 2 times. I don't remember who those deaths went on. But she's definitely had a good laning phase. Ashe is definitely a lot closer in CS, and what's specifically important is Ashe hasn't died. So she's done a really good job. Like SamIM has done a really, really good job at controlling himself as he's in those engages and making sure he stays safe, because he's not feeding the enemy at all, and even has a shutdown on him.
Yes, and as you can see, 3 people on Apollo did die, and now Camelback will be taking their 3rd dragon of the game.
That's definitely a priority to have when you know that you have Dragon or even Baron that's up. If you're able to take the enemy's jungler out of the game, if you can get other champions, that's great. But specifically their jungle, the jungler is the only one with Smite, which allows you to take down champion monsters a lot faster at the end, like one big burst. So without that, it makes it easier to know that whatever objective you're going for isn't going to be stolen. They'd have to use an ultimate for that. So with Viego down, is a perfect opportunity for Camelback to go for that 3rd dragon.
It was really, and as you can see, Camelback is trying to make a little bit of a push in mid lane. And there's only about 3 of them, 3 or 4 of them in actually mid lane. All-Star pushed Rel back into the tower. It's a very smart play. Rel taking a lot of tower hits.
Yeah, Rel's
very
just
good.
taking on all that aggro. Alistar pushed him back into the tower, which is really rough. Which they do get the kill on Rel, but we are also able to get a kill on the Alistar, Viego, and on Darius. So at the end of the day, it's a good engage for Camelback. It was a good exchange. Camelback got more out of it than lost. And that's the thing that's important to remember in the team play. Like, solo queue, obviously you want to stack your personal stats as much as you can. But when you're playing as a team, like sometimes, you know, you need to sacrifice yourself for the good of your team. So that wasn't a bad exchange for Camelback.
And it was really good as you can see Kayn taking that out. I keep forgetting the name because the name is really long.
Cassiopeia?
So it is very hard. Yeah. Her name is very long, so it is kind of hard to pronounce.
I know. I think it's kind of fun to say. Cassiopeia. I don't know why. But it looks like Arya and Kane do follow Alistar and are able to take him out. Darius, Viego, and Ezreal are just kind of hanging out by their tower. I would assume waiting for the right engage. Rel gets pulled in. I'm not sure if she jumped in. I don't think anybody has a pull. I'm not sure how Rel ended up in there. But Viego does take Rel's abilities. So that's interesting there.
Apollo and Gangplank does take that third or the second turret on bottom. There's at least 4 people coming after him because he is really fed.
Definitely, I think that's the only play that Apollo's gonna have against that Gangplank is to like 4 or 5v1 to take him out. Looks like Kane has started Baron. Ari and Ashe are on their way to join him, and maybe Gangplank's trying to keep Apollo away. Not sure what's going on, but we'll see what happens here. Yeah, Gangplank is baiting them. Absolutely. He is going to die here because all of Apollo is there. Ezreal did go up to Baron to try to stop Camelback, which he was able to. Like I said, Baron is such a tanky monster, I guess you could say. It really takes the majority of your team. And the big thing with Baron is you get a buff, but if you die, you lose that buff. So you want to make sure not only that you get Baron, but you get out of the pit alive, because otherwise all of that work was for nothing. So I think that was really smart of Camelback to disengage, realize Ezreal was right there. They would all be hurting from trying to take Baron. So it's better to just wait.
It looks like Arcane is trying to get away from that All-Star because All-Star it's very tanky and Kane. Not so much.
Next dragon will be up in about 35 seconds. This is a very important dragon for Apollo to get because it will be our 4th, so that gives us soul, which comes with a boost. And they have no dragons right now, so that dragon will definitely help close the gold gap. But most importantly, it keeps us from getting soul. So we know we're going to see an engage here. Like, there's no way that Apollo can just say, oh, we'll take the next one. As you can often say in early dragons, like we can say like, oh, we don't have to take this one right now. Apollo has to fight for this dragon.
It does look like Darius is getting caught up by that Kane and will eventually die.
Yeah, and Alistar died a little bit earlier in the river, which just makes that engage a little bit more challenging for Apollo, being 2 players down, realizing that some of our champions are very fed, and they need everybody for a team fight.
It does look like Kane does get that double kill and does not look like trying to get that triple because he's very much hurt.
Right, and he knows he needs to back off because he's needed to take down Dragon. Their jungler is down, so this is a good opportunity to take Dragon. Looks like Ashe was chunking it down anyway. And Ashe did get the Dragon, so that means that we have Mountain Soul. You
So
can
looks like
see,
All-Star did use Flash, so this is really good.
you can see all the champions have like a little orb around them. That is the boost that they get from Mountain Soul. One of these days I will remember what all the dragons do, because it does depend on which soul you have, and it varies from game to game. You don't necessarily have a choice. But there's ocean, there's mountain, and there's fire. And each one gives you different boosts. I just can't remember which one's which.
Well, it does look like they do have mountain boosts because if it is Earth, then that's what I'm guessing that.
Very interesting. Apollo has decided to surrender. So we can see in the chat, red team agreed to surrender 4 votes to 1. So that's why our game has frozen, because at 30 minutes, Apollo has decided to surrender the game, and that is a win for Camelback. So that we don't get to see the end. We don't get to see what could have happened from here. It's an interesting feature. I never thought I'd see it in competitive play. But it is a feature that you have when you're playing regular games or when you're playing just yourself in solo queue. If your team feels like this is not winnable, after 15 minutes, you do have the option to essentially forfeit and surrender and just let the other team win rather than actually finish out the game. So, yeah, didn't think we'd have that, but okay. Great job to both teams. Camelback really did a phenomenal job of really working together as a team. Even with losing some of the champions that they're comfortable on, I think Ari did a great job. He's played Annie almost every single game this season. He's played Annie almost every single game. So switching to Ari was just something that he adapted to very, very quickly, which was really good for Camelback.
I mean, Apollo did play the best, and sometimes you might not always have your mains because we do end up banning champions, so they did do their best.
Exactly, and it definitely creates some challenges throughout the map, and every team has their decisions why they choose to leave the game before it's over. But thank you so much for joining us today for our game 4 of the regular season. Join us again next week as we play. We actually just got our schedules, I can tell you. Next week, we will be playing Mountain View Mesa. So that'll be very exciting. And then, of course, join us on Thursday as our Camelback Varsity Rocket League goes up against Xavier College Prep at 4 o'clock for our next Rocket League game. So have a great night, everybody. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time.